everybody. Thanks for joining me. I hope you're doing well. I'm here today with my Q3 Historathon Pile of Possibilities video. First of all, Historathon, for anyone who isn't familiar, is a year-long reading initiative started by Vin over at the Revenant Reads channel. I will link him below. And the intent is just to encourage more reading of nonfiction history. Now, you don't have to be deep into history. In fact, I think Vin's primary intent is to encourage people who might be a little on the fence about reading more history. So, yeah, that's something that interests you. We'd be glad to have you join us. The year is divided into quarters. First quarter covers prehistory up through 500 AD or CE, however you would have it. Second quarter is 500 through 1500. That's the quarter that's just ending. Third quarter, we're just getting ready to start on now, is the year 1500 through 1820. And the nice thing about that, if you're into a lot of the Regency era fiction events that are going on this time of year, that'll dovetail nicely with those. And final quarter is year 1820 through present day. Now, in addition to Vin, who created the event, there are a number of co-hosts, and to my surprise, Vin has asked me to be one of those co-hosts now. It surprises me because there are a lot of the Historathon co-hosts who actually teach history and have been history enthusiasts all their lives and, studied it formally and all that. I'm a filthy casual, but I'll do my best. And along with the event, there is an excellent Discord. There's always a good historical discussion going on there. I am a complete dullard when it comes to technology, but if you'd like, you can speak to me about joining the Discord. I'll make sure to get you in contact with someone who can help you with that. And in addition to that, I will link all my fellow co-hosts below, who I'm sure would also be glad to help you. So, yeah, I guess that's the preliminaries here. Oh, I'll just say on the Discord, there are always discussions about any era of history going on. So, yeah, even if you don't particularly want to read something from the third quarter era, 1500 through 1820, any nonfiction history you want to discuss, I'm sure you will find people willing to do that on the Discord anytime. So, yeah, it's not so strictly regimented that you have to stick just to this quarter or anything like that. Okay, now onto my pile of possibilities. Pile of possibilities is just that I am not under any delusion that I will be reading all of these. They're just kind of my, if I had unlimited time, this is what I would like to read. And in addition, a proviso I'll put on mine, I'm sticking to books that I own physical copies of. I actually do a lot of e-reading, but most people on BookTube seem to prefer old-fashioned books, which I do too in many ways. But yeah, I'm going to stick to books that I own on ink and dead tree pulp. So yeah, with all that out of the way, I guess I'll get into the books here. This is going to be my primary project for the quarter, and this is a biography of Thomas Jefferson, which is actually 6 volumes. So I doubt seriously I will be finishing it this quarter. I'd be happy if I finish it by the end of the year, quite frankly. And this is volume 1, which I've actually started on. I'm only about 20 pages in, but Jefferson the Virginian. I guess that author's name is Dumas Malone. I apologize if that's not the proper pronunciation. I don't speak fancy. and speaking of not being fancy, it's not reading too badly, but if you're seeing this unsightly thing on my chin, I apologize. I kind of got into a fight with a low-hanging tree branch the other day and lost, so yeah, that accounts for that. But back to Jefferson. Volume 2 here is Jefferson and the Rights of Man. I guess I could read you these summaries, but I mean, it's a biography of Thomas Jefferson. I don't think you need me to read the blurb to you. Volume 3, Jefferson, the Ordeal of Liberty. Volume 4, Jefferson the President, First Term, 1801 to 1805. Volume 5, Jefferson the President, Second Term, 1805 to 1809. And final volume, The Sage of Monticello. So yeah, like I said, that's going to be my primary project. Like I said, I'd be happy if I actually get 3 volumes read this quarter, but I have had this on my shelf for a long time, and this is a good time to get started, and I certainly hope to have it finished by the end of the year. So yeah, I'm going to now show you some other things that's a little more iffy as to whether I'll get to any of these, but they've been eyeing me for a while and I've been eyeing them, so I'll show them to you. There's an outside chance that I might get to some of them. I have here Will in the World by Stephen Greenblatt. Now, this is just a biography of Shakespeare that was popular a number of years ago, and I just haven't gotten to it. So, to tell you the truth, I just started reading Paradise Lost, so if I do read anything, it's a biography of a literary figure, it'll be more likely to be John Milton, but I only have ebooks that fall into that line, so figured I'd show you this just as a physical book possibility. It does interest me. I'll read the little blurb here. A young man from a small provincial town moves to London in the late 1580s and in a remarkably short time becomes the greatest playwright, not of his age alone, but of all time. How is an achievement of this magnitude to be explained? How did Shakespeare become Shakespeare? Stephen Greenblatt brings us down to earth to see, hear, and feel how an acutely sensitive and talented boy, surrounded by the rich tapestry of Elizabethan life, could have become the world's greatest playwright. So, yeah, I know there's all kinds of debate out there about Shakespeare's life. I am not a literary guy. I'm not all that familiar with it. Thus, this book figured it'd be a good place to start. So, yeah, it's another possibility. This one's probably more likely, tends to fall more in line with my interests. The Curious Life of Robert Hooke by Lisa Jardine. Subtitle is The Man Who Measured London. And Robert Hooke did a lot of things and was quite a character, but I'll just read the blurb to you. It probably says it far better than I ever could. The brilliant, largely forgotten maverick Robert Hooke was an engineer, surveyor, architect, and inventor who worked tirelessly with his intimate friend Christopher Wren to rebuild London after the Great Fire of 1666. He was the first curator of experiments at the Royal Society, that's my primary interest with them, and his engravings of natural phenomena seen under the new microscope appeared in his masterpiece, the acclaimed Micrographia, one of the most influential volumes of the day. But Hooke's irascible temper, that's putting it lightly, and his passionate idealism proved fatal for his relationships with important political figures, most notably Sir Isaac Newton. Their quarrel is legendary. As a result, historical greatness eluded Robert Hooke. Now, eminent historian Lisa Jardine does this original thinker of indefatigable curiosity and imagination justice, and allows him to take his place as a major figure in the 17th century's intellectual and scientific revolution. So, yeah, I would really like to get to this one. It very much falls in line with my interests. I was talking about being a filthy casual when it comes to history. My background educationally is more in science and mathematics, so yeah, Robert Hooke kind of is more in my wheelhouse for that reason. But anyway, moving on. I just finished a book about the Black Death, so this seems like it might be an interesting follow-up. The Great Plague. This is just a book about the Great London Plague of 1665. The authors, I'm sorry I couldn't read it in my camera readout there, A. Lloyd Moot and Dorothy C. Moot. And the subtitle on that is The Story of London's Most Deadly Year. Very dramatic cover there. And I'll read you this blurb. Historian A. Lloyd Moot and microbiologist Dorothy C. Moot provide an engrossing and deeply informed account of London's cataclysmic plague year of 1664 through 1665. At once sweeping and intimate, their narrative takes readers from the palaces of the city's wealthiest citizens to the slums that house the vast majority of London's inhabitants, to the surrounding countryside with those who fled. Through historical letters and diaries, and the parish accounts of services to the poor, the Moots offer fresh interpretations of the Great Plague, how communities understood and experienced the disease, how medical, religious, and government bodies reacted, how well the social order held together, the economic and moral dilemmas people faced when debating whether to flee the city, and the personal experiences and material and spiritual resources of those who remained. So, yeah, this is another one that's pretty well in my wheelhouse. I'd like to get to it, but we'll see. I only have so much time in a day. But yeah, it's very possible. Okay, my final book here. And I will be reading at least some of this one. It's a volume from the Cambridge History of Science series. This is volume 3, Early Modern Science. The authors, or the editors on that, are Catherine Park and Lorraine Daston. These books are almost like a series of chapters or essays that are authored by specialists in particular areas. But anyway, I will read the blurb here. Volume 3 offers a broad and detailed account of how the study of nature was transformed in Europe between 1500 and 1700. Chapters on how nature was studied, where and by whom, covered disciplines from astronomy and astrology to magic and natural history, sites of knowledge from the laboratory and the battlefield to the library and the marketplace, and types of knowers, from university professors and apothecaries to physicians and instrument makers. Separate sections on the new nature and cultural meanings of natural knowledge address the impact of the new natural knowledge on conceptions of nature, experience, explanation, and evidence, and on religion, art, literature, gender, and European self-definition, respectively. That's a lot of ground to cover. Contributions are written in clear, accessible prose with extensive bibliographical notes by noted specialists. The volume offers to scholars and general readers a synoptic overview of the research on early modern science that has challenged the traditional view of the scientific revolution while emphasizing profound but diverse changes in natural knowledge during this key epoch in European history. So yeah, this one's very much in my wheelhouse, and I definitely plan on reading at least some chapters from this. And that is my final selection for my pile of possibilities, Quarter 3 Historathon. Again, since I'm now a co-host, if you would like to get involved with the Discord, I will do my best to get you set up with that. I might have to refer you to someone that actually knows what they're doing, but I'll be glad to do what I can to help. And yeah, if you're interested in reading some history with us, I would love for you to join on in. We'd love to hear from you over at the Discord, certainly. But anyway, it's enough for me. If you've made it this far, I thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening. And until I speak with you again, take care. Later days.
But am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?